Can the Bengals win it one more time to go to the Super Bowl? All that plus my prediction right now. Hello everyone, and today I will be talking about the Bengals Chiefs AFC Championship game. Man, it's been a long season. Um, it's been pretty amazing as a Bengals fan. Just seeing the team do what they did. So today I am going to go through each and every. I'm going to go through different positions and talk about which team has the advantage. I'll get the key to the game, and I will be talking about my final score prediction. First off, we got the quarterback, and you got Mahomes versus Burrow. Okay, and obviously Mahomes is probably the better one, but I have to say this: statistically, they're pretty close. Burrow actually has better stats as far as passing yards per attempt and passer rating this year. And so, when you look at that, you see, hey, Burrow's better at those two statistics than Patrick Mahomes. And then every other stat, Patrick Mahomes is a little bit better than Burrow. He has a few hundred more passing yards. He has 3 more TDs. He has 1 less interception. And then during the postseason, Burrow's kind of not been as great during this postseason while Mahomes is going crazy. But for the regular season, Burrow is very similar to Mahomes. And considering that, that Burrow only played 16 games, remember, he didn't play that last game versus the Browns. So it's very possible that he could have had better stats than many of these statistics if he would have played that Browns game at the end of the year, because he was only 200 yards behind on passing yards. He could have definitely done that. There's a lot of statistics that Burrow probably would have been somewhat even better than Patrick Mahomes at that. So, but I will give it to Patrick Mahomes. Give him the shot of the doubt. We'll give him the slight edge there. Second, let's go with running backs. And this one, I think Bengals take the cake. The Chiefs have a decent run game, but the way that the Chiefs run the ball is to make you respect the run enough so that way they can pass the ball. It isn't a team that you're really worried about running. You just worry that, hey, let's make sure that we defend the pass, but not give up an 80-yard run to a running back who maybe shouldn't be able to do that. And so the Chiefs' running yards aren't as good as what you would think out of a top team. They got 1,331 yards between the top 3 running backs. So they don't really have an impressive running game. Patrick Mahomes himself has 381 yards. Of course, again, that's one of the things that I put Patrick Mahomes above Burrow because of how the ability to run outside the pocket, go on the run, and get a bunch of yards. So total rushing yards for Chiefs' regular season was 1,455. When you look at the Bengals, they got 1,528 yards between the top 3 running backs, and early in the season, the running game was big for the Bengals. Late in the season, it really wasn't. It was mostly Burrow throwing, and by the end, the Bengals had 1,742 yards. So I think Bengals have a better running game. But more recently, both of these teams have had a pass-first approach with running to make you respect it. In this postseason, Bengals really have not had the running game. They have 148 yards scored between the 2 games. Mixon has the most with 102. Chase actually has 25, and a couple other ones have lower than that. But when you look at the postseason for the Chiefs running, it's actually it's not really good. I guess I don't know. It's probably better than the Bengals, but They have 288 yards total between the two games. Mahomes has 98 of those yards, so that just shows that, hey, you need to stop Mahomes when he keep him inside the pocket, basically, because if he gets outside the pocket, then he could be really bad and can run for first downs and touchdowns potentially. He has the most rushing yards on the team for the postseason run. 85 yards by McKinnon, 60 by Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So Chiefs have a slight better running game during the postseason, but really not that much. Both these teams have passed a lot during the postseason just because they've had to, and that's where the offense has been the strength for most of the season, if not the entire of the season. So, yeah, I think that Bengals probably have a better running game, especially out of the running backs. I think Bengals have a better receiving core. And, a lot of people will say, wait, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Well, you got two guys. And then you start going to Pringle and Harden, and it seems like it slightly devolves. It heavily devolves after Hill and Kelce. When you look at the Bengals, they got three deep wide receiver core. You got Higgins, Chase, Boyd, and then even at tight end, you got people. You got CJ Uzama and stuff, and so. Really, I think Bengals have a bad receiving core just because they have shown that that they have more than just one wide receiver and the tight end. They got multiple wide receivers, and maybe the tight end's not as good. Of course, Kelce is way better than CJ Uzama, but the fact that the Bengals have all those people and they are going at full force, it's really, really amazing. And when you look at, both these teams are really good run after catch. For the Chiefs is Kelce and Hill that get way too many yards after the catch. You think that the defense would be able to stop him, but that's just not the case. Hill is he's too fast. And Kelce is just so strong and so elusive out in the middle of the field. I mean, Tyreek Hill has over 400 yards after the catch this season. Kelce with over 500. And then let's look at the Bengals. Someone like Chase has 651 yards after the catch. And yeah, after that it may devolve. It's not as good as someone like Kelce, who's really good after the catch, but Higgins has 290, if that's something. But Chase is definitely one of the best wide receivers after the catch. He is very elusive. He may be more elusive than Tyreek Hill, and I know that's what a lot of people will be like, whoa, but that's my opinion. I think Chase is more elusive than Tyreek Hill. So overall, I think the Bengals have a pretty good have a slight to moderate advantage there at the receiving core, just because of the depth, and in some places they even have better players. Okay, well, let's talk about offensive line. This one is the one where the Chiefs win. They just win, okay? First off, you got Patrick Mahomes that are able to get outside the pocket and stuff, but overall, just the offensive line is just better, okay? When you talk about 28 sacks for Patrick Mahomes compared to 51 sacks for Burrow, yeah, that shows you that that the Chiefs are just better offensive line wise. You there's no argument that says that the Chiefs don't have the better offensive line. Okay? And that's going to be the weak point of the Bengals. That's always been the weak point for this entire year. So that's something that Bengals will have to protect Burrow if they want to win the game. So, overall, Chiefs win the offensive line debate. Let's go to defensive line, and I know that a lot of people will say, hey, let's make the defensive line based on the offensive line. Well, I'm not going to do that, okay? And so, with that understanding, I think that the Bengals have a very slight advantage when you're talking about the defensive line. For one, the Chiefs have 31 sacks on defense compared to Bengals, who have 42 sacks now. Now that means that Bengals are getting more sacks, and so I think that they have a better defensive line that can get after the quarterback and can definitely, force turnovers and all that. We saw that with Hendrickson, where he was able to cause a forced fumble or two this season. So I think that Bengals have a better defensive line. Not saying that, Bengals will have more sacks than the Chiefs, or the Chiefs won't have their day against Burrow. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that Bengals' defensive line statistically is better, and so I'm saying that they're better overall. But if you look at this game, it's probably more likely that the Chiefs will have more sacks. So, but for right now, Bengals have a better defensive line. Now I want to talk about the rest of the defense, and both defenses are very, very similar, but I will give it to the Chiefs very slightly. For one, I think that the Chiefs are better off. They've had 2 more turnovers, and they've had more fumbles recovered. And also they've given up a little over a point, or less than a point less than the Bengals. But overall, defensively, they're pretty similar. Chiefs get up more rushing, but Chiefs get more rushing and passing. But so Bengals have less, give up less yards per game, but they end up giving up more. But Bengals end up getting more points, so it's weird. So for some reason, these statistics don't exactly line up where the Bengals give up less yards, but they give up more points. That says that I don't know what that exactly says. I think it's more of a statistical oddity going on there. But in the postseason, Bengals really have been turning it on. 4 sacks, 4 INTs. They've had a forced fumble. The Bengals are playing really good in the postseason, defensively. And you look at the Chiefs, they play good defensively against the Steelers, who doesn't? But against the Bills, the Bills-Chiefs game was just you might as well just throw it up to anyone and they would have caught it for a touchdown. Both defenses did nothing in that game. When you look at the Bengals, they played the Raiders and the Titans, both better than the Steelers, but definitely not the Bills or the Chiefs. So you kind of have to take that into effect. So for right now, I will give the Chiefs the very slight edge defensively. Okay, now it's time for the keys to the game. And for the Bengals and the Chiefs, they have very similar keys to the game. For one, they want to keep the opposing quarterback on the sideline. Both of them want to control the pace of the game. So I think that you may see more running, especially if a team is up and they have to waste clock. You're going to see a lot more running than I think that people expect. Both of them are going to look to keep scoring. They gotta keep scoring, otherwise they're going to fall behind, and you don't want to fall behind if you're facing off against the Bengals or the Chiefs. So when they face off against each other, you just gotta keep scoring. Another thing is get your best player in the space. For the Chiefs, it's going to be Kelsey and Hill. For Bengals, it's going to be Chase or Mixon or Higgins, someone like that. Someone who's going to get out in space, elude a bunch of people and get a touchdown. So, and then the final key, which goes in Chiefs' favor probably, is the crowd. Bengals, they gotta silence the crowd. They gotta get off to an early lead and get stops on defense. For the Chiefs, they gotta keep this a close game, and possibly even lead to get the crowd into it and get that stadium loud. Because obviously, if it's loud, it's going to be harder for the Bengals to win and to communicate and all that. So, each of them have very similar game plans, and I think that could make this a very, very close game at the end. And that's why it is time for my final prediction. Okay, it's time for the final prediction. Last time, the Bengals won 34-31. McPherson, the Bengals kicker, ended up winning the game for the Bengals off a last-second field goal after Bengals wasted down clock, which now you look at what happened with the Chiefs-Bills game, it was probably a good decision by Zach Taylor to waste the clock because Chiefs can apparently score in 13 seconds. So, before I give my final prediction, I want to say this one thing. If you're looking at the Chiefs, stop saying the Chiefs are unstoppable. Okay? We have seen teams beat the Chiefs. We've seen the Bengals beat the Chiefs just earlier this year. A couple of the postseasons, Brady has beat Mahomes and the Chiefs. And they say, oh, it's Brady, he's obviously going to... Really, when you look at the Super Bowl, it wasn't the blowout like the Chiefs-Bills game. It was the defense that really caused the Chiefs the most problem last Super Bowl. So it wasn't exactly Tom Brady that beat the Chiefs. It was really the defense, and Brady played his game. So, and there's other teams other than Brady or even the Bengals who have beat the Chiefs. The Ravens beat the Chiefs earlier this year. So, stop saying that they're unbeatable, because if they were unbeatable, unstoppable, then they would be 16-0 and win the Super Bowl every year. But they don't. They haven't done that. They made really good runs. They made it to the Super Bowl a couple times, but they haven't went 16-0 and won the Super Bowl. Okay? So, my final prediction for this game is a Bengals 38, Chiefs 34. I think that this is, again, going to be kind of similar to the first game, where it's going to be players in the space who's going to be able to get the best players in the space. And last game, it was Chase who beat the Chiefs with over 200. I think he had 266 yards receiving. Especially, he had a bunch of yards after catch. So, yeah, I think that the Bengals win by 4 points, and they will be going to the Super Bowl. So, thank you guys for watching. I know that this has been a long video and a lot of rambling. and it probably wasn't the best video. So, like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time, where I will be talking about this game afterwards. So, we'll see you guys later.